Good morning, everybody. My name is Marco Quesada. Today, this morning reading and devotion session will be under the hosting of Trinidad and Tobago. Today, we are joining to the session 230. So greetings to all the leaders, all blessed families, all brothers and sisters in the Central America and the Caribbean. I'm really happy to meet you on this morning. So please join me to do the opening statement. Today, on the 18th day, on the 12th month, by the heavenly calendar, in the 9th year of Chanilgu, on the daily morning reading, Hundohe, session 230, we offer our devotion for a hopeful, holy community. Now, let us prepare to offer greeting to Heavenly Parents and True Parents. Chanjin, Champumaninke, Chombe. Baro. Okay. Now let us read the family pledge. Number 6. Our family, the honor of Chanilgu, pledge to become a family that move heavenly fortune by embodying the heavenly parents and true parents, and to perfect a family that conveys heaven's blessing to our community by centering on true love. Now, brothers and sisters, let us invite one of our children of Trinidad and Tobago, Naomi Paulis, who is going to do the opening prayer on this morning. Okay, let us welcome her and let us prepare our heart to praise Heavenly Parents and True Parents. Naomi, please.
Good morning.
Morning.
Hi, good morning. My name is Naomi Portis, and that's good morning to all national leaders of our blessed families and everybody that's here on this Sunday session. Please join me in prayer as I come before you, Father. May your words remain with us. We pray for your protection. Please give True Mother the long life, good health, and strength. I thank you for your blessings upon each one of us. I thank you for life, health, and strength, for your love, your guidance, and your protection. Lord, we thank you for everything that you have done for us and for our families. In Jesus' name, I pray. Amen.
Thank you. Aju.
Say Aju.
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 Yes,
Thank you, Naomi, for that wonderful prayer.
you're welcome.
Right. So now let us prepare ourselves to do the
You read it.
English. And for that, let me bring your elder sister, Patricia, is going to
Yes,
read from the book or True Father biography.
Pleasant good morning.
Yes.
Pleasant good morning to you, Reverend Young, Dr. Young, Reverend Kim, and Reverend Billiard, and to all our blessed members everywhere. Thank you very much for this privilege of granted unto me so I can do the reading of True Father's words. Between fear and inspiration. As I grew older and more and mature, I became preoccupied with the question, what will I be when I grow up? I enjoy coming, observing and studying nature. So I gave some thought to becoming a scientist. However, I changed my mind after I saw the tragedy of how people were plundered by the Japanese colonial authorities. They suffered so much that they could not even feed themselves. It didn't seem that becoming a scientist, even if it led to my winning a Nobel Prize, would be a way for me to wipe away the tears of suffering people. I wanted to become a person who could take away the tears that flowed from people's eyes and the sorrow that was in their hearts. When I was lying in the forest listening to the songs of the birds, I would think the world needs to be made as warm and tender as those songs. I should become someone who makes people's lives as fragrant as flowers. I didn't know what career I should pursue to accomplish that, but I became convinced that I should be a person who could give happiness to people. When I was 10, our family converted to Christianity by the grace of great uncle Yun Bongboon, who was a minister and led a fervent life of faith. From then on, I attended church faithfully without ever missing a week. If I arrived at service even a little late, I would be so ashamed that I could not even raise my face. I didn't know what I could have understood at such a young age to inspire me to be this way. But God was already a huge presence in my life. I was spending more and more time wrestling with questions, dealing with life and death, and the suffering and sorrows of human existence. When I was 12, I witnessed my great grandfather's grave being moved. Normally, only adults in the clan would be allowed to attend such an occasion, but I wanted very much to see for myself what happened to people after they died. I eventually persuaded my parents to allow me to come along. When the grave was dug up and I saw his remains, I was overcome with shock and fear. While the adults opened the grave with solemn ceremony, all I saw was a scrawny skeleton. There was no trace of the features of my father and mother had described to me. There was only the hideous sight of white bones. It took me a while to get over the shock of seeing my great grandfather's bones. I said to myself, great grandfather must have looked just like us. Does this mean my parents too will turn into such a bunch of white bones after they die? Is this what will happen to me when I die? Everyone dies. But after we die, do we just lie there unable to think about anything? I couldn't get these questions out of my head. Around that same time, a number of strange events occurred in our home. I have vivid memory of one particular. Each time our family wove cloth, we would take the snippets of thread from the loom and save them in an earthenware jar until we had enough to make a bolt of cloth. The cloth was made from these snippets, and each young was used to make ceremonial clothes used when a child in the family married. One night, these snippets were found scattered all over the branches of an old chestnut tree in a neighboring village. They made the tree look like it had turned white. We couldn't understand who would have taken the snippets from the jar and carried them all the way to the chestnut tree, which was quite a distance from our home, and then spread them all over the tree. It didn't seem like something that could be done by human hands, and it frightened everyone in the village. When I was 16, we experienced the tragedy of having five of my younger siblings die in a single year. No words could describe the heartbreak of our parents in losing five of their children in such a short time. Death seems to spread. Other clan members lost their livestock. One family cow suddenly died, though it had been in perfect health. At another home, several horses died, one after another. At a third home, 7 pigs died in one night. The suffering of one family seems connected to the suffering of the nation and of the world. I was increasingly troubled to see the wretched situation of the Korean people under Japan's tyrannical rule. Sorry. People didn't have enough to eat. They were sometimes forced to take grass, tree bark, and whatever else they could find, and boil these for food. There seemed to be no end to wars around the world. Then one day, I, I read an article in a newspaper about the suicide of a middle school student who was the same age as I. Why did he die? I asked myself. I was devastated by this news, as if it had happened to someone who had been close to me. With the newspaper open to that article, I wept aloud for 3 days and nights. The tears kept coming, and I couldn't make them stop. I couldn't comprehend the series of strange events or the fact that tragic events were happening to good people. Seeing the bones of my great grandfather had inspired me to start asking questions about life and death. And the series of unusual events in around our home caused me to hang on to religion. The word of God I was hearing in church, however, was not sufficient by itself to give me the clear answers I was seeking. To relieve the frustrations in my heart, I naturally began to immerse myself in prayer. Who am I? Where did I come from? What is the purpose of my life? What happens to people when they die? Is there a world of eternal soul? Does God really exist? Is God really all powerful? If he is, why does he just stand by? And what is the source of the world? If God created this world, did he also create the suffering that is in the world? What will bring an end to Korea's tragic occupation? Why do human beings hate each other, fight, and start wars? My heart was filled with these serious and fundamental questions. No one could easily answer them for me. So my only option was to pray. Pray helped me to find solace. Whenever I laid out these anguishing problems in my heart to God, all my suffering and sorrow vanished, and my heart felt at ease. I began spending more and more time in prayer to the point that eventually I began praying through the night all the time. As a result, I had rare and precious experience in which God answered my prayers. That day will always remain as the most cherished memory of my life, a day I can never forget. It was the night before Easter in the year I turned 16. I was on Mount Maodu praying all night and begging God in tears for answers. Why had He created the world so filled with sorrow and despair? Why was the all knowing and all powerful God leaving the world in such pain? What should I do for my tragic homeland? I wept in tears. I asked these questions repeatedly. Early Easter morning, after I'd spent the entire night in prayer, Jesus appeared before me. He appeared in an instant, like a gust of wind, and said to me, God is in great sorrow because of the pain of humankind. You must take on a special mission on earth having to do with heaven's work. That morning, I saw clearly the sorrowful face of Jesus. I heard his voice clearly. The experience of witnessing the manifestation of Jesus caused my body to shake violently, like a quaking aspen's leaves, trembling in a strong breeze. I was simultaneously overcome with fear so great, I felt I might die, and gratitude so profound, I felt that I might explode. Jesus spoke clearly about the work I would have to do. His words were extraordinary, having to do with saving humanity from its suffering and bringing joy to God. My initial response was, I can't do this. How can I do this? Why would you ever give me a mission of such paramount importance? I was truly afraid. I wanted somehow to avoid this mission, and I clung to the hem of his clothing and wept inconsolably. Adieu.
Aju.
You.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sister Patsy.
Yeah, thank you, Reverend.
Today we don't have someone to share his testimony or to make a report. So if anyone wants to share some comments or some testimony, he can do it on this moment.
Well, if nobody do it,
Okay.
nothing prepared. I mean, we are here, but we are in the family, so we can share our thoughts, our feeling that somehow I feel as I remember just when True Father talked about how he somehow he was desperately asking to God for answer, and thinking about my life as I know for almost all members of our movement, we have been through more or less such a kind of process in our lives, in which at a certain point, in a certain moment, we faced ourselves and the questions as who am I, or why am I living? And somehow is a process in which we know that many people before us, in this case, our True Father, with such a incredible, important cosmic mission, and we as members, we can say we are children of our true parents, and because we came after him with these questions, and we have been so lucky in a sense that instead of the many people before us in the history have faced such questions, but they have to suffer without answers, without receiving a complete guidance, as we have been so lucky to receive because of the time, the moment in history that we came after our true parents, and we could receive the grace, because as we understood after we came to know that our true parents, our true father in particular, he paid indemnity at the cosmic level. So that's why members could arise from every corner of the world because of his indemnity and his prayer and constant conditions that he paid for us to be reborn, to come to the movement. And in a way or another, we've been guided. As yesterday we heard the testimony of Reverend Solomon, and very interesting, no? The background in our churches, in our each one, we received some kind of education, but that education was not enough to give us the answers and the guidance that we needed for our lives at that moment. So somehow we have been through many different level of mistakes in our lives. We touch sometimes the bottom of the situation in the real life and in our hearts, to reach the point in which we have been so desperate, asking God that we absolutely need answer. What should I do with my life? What can I do to make this world a better place that in which it is right now? That was our somehow the situation of our lives, and we have been so fortunate that we found the true parents in our lives. So every time I look at their picture, there are one side, there is a formal picture that we everybody have, but when we look at the picture of our true parents in the moment of festivals, or the moment they have shown us as parents, real parents, that we have lived with them experiences as to enjoy many kind of moment of parties, and really seeing them sometime on the stage, sometime among us. That is the moment in which we can truly say, oh, these are really my parents, because beside moreover than our physical parents that gave us life, we have received eternal life, thanks to them, to the truth and the love, the true love we have come to know, thanks to them, and as their children. And also we have come to know true love through brothers and sisters, and true love with our spouse that we have received through the blessing. So this is something that connect us. Is a bond of love that I'm sure, absolutely sure, it will connect us for eternity, forever. So even though the many circumstances we are going through in our movement, in everywhere, but this root, this foundation, it's already an eternal foundation that our true parents have made, have placed, that will never be destroyed. That is my absolute certainty in life. So thank you very much for listening to me. Just short consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Pete, for sharing those words. I think Dr. Young also want to share something? Raise your hands.
So good morning, everybody. I am keep traveling. I have 3 a.m. in my time. So we are preparing a World Summit for Peace to support Korean Peninsula, the peaceful reunification of Korean Peninsula. From February 10 to 14. So 200 VVIP will be invited. It is very difficult time to get permit from the government. So everybody should wait the 10 days quarantine, but we have to get a waive for those VVIP. So this time particularly, as you may have heard, former Secretary General Ban Ki-moon and current Prime Minister of Cambodia, Prime Minister Hun Sen, are the co-chair of this coming summit. Especially Prime Minister Hun Sen is the head of ASEM, ASEAN Summit. So he's pretty important position. And he stood up to support our movement and true parent strongly. So he is bringing entire his cabinet members to Korea. So and from USA, so USA, UPF trying their best to invite one of former president from US side. And many currents are coming from Asia and Africa and Europe too. So from our region, we are doing our best. Former president of Guatemala, Jimmy Morales, confirmed he is coming, and another we are trying invite another head of state from Caribbean. We are waiting final answer. Anyway, this is a very important period. So we have to do our best. And another same time, we have America's conference from Canada to Chile, including Caribbean, all 35 nations will have the big America's conference from February 1 to 3. So we are having Zoom meeting every day for this coming two big event, brothers, sisters. So let us have a hope and let us really support to God's providence in Korea and same time God's providence in our region. So this year so is very important last year of challenge. So this coronavirus situation also will be disappearing during this year. So we have to overcome and we have to work hard. So when I traveling America to meet some VIP and I'm leaving for Korea soon, few hours later, I'm staying at near airport. People keep traveling, so many people. So they don't operate anymore. And even England, British declared no more quarantine, no more vaccine, no more, because of 90% of all people got the vaccine. That's why Prime Minister of British decided no more limit, no more distance, and even not emphasize mask that much. They stood up and will overcome. I think soon many nations will follow. So coronavirus, we have to be very careful. At the same time, no need to operate with more strong, brave heart. Let us overcome these challenges. Thank you. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Dr. Yang, for sharing with us such important news. So now, let us all together prepare to do our individual prayer. brothers and sisters, let us join in prayer. You. Thank you, all brothers and sisters, for joining us to this morning devotion. I'm really happy we can meet each other every morning. At this time, I want to give a special thanks to our brother Rodolfo Ramos from YSP Nicaragua, who was the interpreter. Also our sister Patricia Williams, with the reading, and our dear friend Naomi Paulis, with the prayer. Thank you all for joining us, and especially I want to give a welcome to those people who joined the first time. I hope you enjoy this morning session, and I hope you want to join us every morning. So now, let us close this part and let us hear Eliezer's words. Okay, Eliezer, thank you.
Thank you very much, dear brother and sister. Thank you for joining us today. It's an honor for us to start the day together. Muchísimas gracias, hermanos y hermanas. Reverendo Marco, muchas gracias por ser el grupo anfitrión del día de hoy, la hermosa isla de Trinidad y Tobago. Naomi, muchas gracias por su oración. Patricia, muchas gracias por la lectura. Y Rodolfo, muchas gracias por ayudar siempre como intérprete de cada sesión. A todos ustedes, nosotros queremos enviarles un saludo de Saranhamnida, Kamsahamnida. Pronto tendremos que entrar a otra reunión, por eso hoy vamos a hacer un ejercicio, solamente saludar, aplaudir, y luego vamos a tener que desconectarnos, pero como siempre hagamos salud para tener ejercicios para tener buena salud.
No podemos escuchar el audio.
손바닥을 봉우리 모양으로 둥글게 한 후 손목과 연결된 끝부분을 서로 부딪혀줍니다. 봉우리 박스는 방광을 자극하는 효과가 있어 생식기 기능을 좋게 해주며 여성들에게는 생리품이나 생리불순에도 매우 좋습니다. 세 번째, 손등 박수. 이 박수는 한쪽 손등으로 다른 한 손등을 때려주는 동작입니다. 손등을 골고루 자극시켜주고 양손을 번갈아 가며 박수를 칩니다. 손등 박수는 요통이 심하거나 척추가 바르지 않은 사람에게 효과가 있습니다. 네 번째, 손가락 끝 박수. 10손가락을 마주대고 손가락 끝 부위만 댄 채로 박수를 칩니다. 손가락 끝을 자극하면 눈과 코 부위 건강에 좋습니다. 이는 눈이 쉽게 피로한 사람이나 만성 비염, 코감기, 코피가 자주 나는 사람들에게 매우 효과적입니다. 다섯 번째, 먹보 박수. 먹보 박수는 한 손은 펴고 다른 한 손은 주먹을 쥐어 펴 있는 손바닥을 주먹으로 쳐주는 동작입니다. 손바닥에는 심장과 폐장, 그리고 심포에 관련된 경락이 흐르고 있어 손바닥을 부딪히는 동작은 심폐 기능과 호흡 기능, 그리고 혈액순환에 도움을 줄 수 있습니다. 여섯 번째, 손바닥 박수. 기본적인 박수 자세로 10손가락을 마주대면서 양손을 힘차게 부딪힙니다. 이때 생기는 마찰 진동으로 손바닥의 모든 균열이 자극을 받아 혈액순환에 도움을 줄 수 있습니다. 또한 위장과 비장 등 내장 기능을 강화시키고 갑상선이나 당뇨 합병증을 예방하는 데 효과가 있습니다. 일곱 번째, 달걀 박수. 손바닥을 마주대고 손 안에 달걀을 움켜쥐고 있듯이 동그랗게 모아 서로 부딪혀줍니다. 달걀 박수는 중풍과 치매 예방에 도움을 주고 건망증을 없애주며 기억력 향상에 효과가 있습니다. 여덟 번째, 목뒤 박수. 양팔을 올려서 목 뒤로 돌려 서로 힘차게 박수를 쳐줍니다. 이 동작은 어깨가 좋지 않은 사람에게는 불편할 수 있으니 무리하지 않고 손이 서로 닿는 데까지 팔을 올려 박수를 쳐줍니다. 이는 어깨 부위의 피로를 풀어주며 어깨나 팔 부위에 군살이 많은 사람에게는 다이어트 효과까지 있습니다. 건강 박수를 시작으로 오늘도 활기찬 하루 되세요. 감사합니다.
Una vez más, muchísimas gracias, hermanos y hermanas, por la oportunidad de encontrarnos una vez más. Nos vemos mañana. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias a todos.
Sí, gracias a todos. Gracias. Aquí.
Feliz día para todos.
Muchas gracias.
Buenos días.
Buenos días. Goodbye.
Too much people that on me.
Yeah.
It is not tough. It is. Oh, how much people are there?
We spotlighted.
No, you don't get a spot on.
Running no.
He's not more.
Hola a todos.
Buenos días. Gracias. Que les quiere, cuídense.